I'm Mitchell T. Tracy. I'm the moderator for today. I'm also a candidate for Clark County Commission and District DAF. We'd like to thank our panel for being here today. Barbara Foust, U.S. Army, VIP member. Steve Sanson Jr., U.S. Army. Mantis Toboggan, VIP co-host radio. And Michael McDonald, VIP legislature. We'd also like to thank our sponsors, Ron Q for Clark County Treasurer, Michael Broadway, Real Estate, Real Water, Lakeside Business Suites. We're here this morning with the Clark County Recorder's candidates, Debbie Conway, Jill MacFarlane, and John Moore. We're going to give you 1 minute for your opening, and we'll go ahead and start with Debbie Conway.
Good morning. I'm Debbie Conway, and I'm the current Clark County Recorder. I've been in office now for 12 years, and I'd like to give a shout out to all the veterans in the room, and thank you for your service. I have been in office for 12 years, and we've accomplished quite a bit, at least 90 items that I can think of off the top of my head that we have listed on our webpage. I have a master's degree in business and a bachelor's degree in business. My background is in banking and finance. I've been with Clark County government for over 28 years. I've served the county commissioners, I've served in the administrative services office, and I've also served in the finance and the grants office, as well as the small business manager for Clark County. Just a few highlights about the office. Our office brings in over $1 million a year. We have approximately 55 people on our staff. About 40 of those are recorders, deputy recorders. And we have about 65,000 walk-in customers a year and over 6,000 phone calls from all over the country. So it's a high-volume, production-oriented office. And for the last 12 years, I've been very happy to serve the public with a number of technological enhancements that we'll probably get into later on in this interview. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jill MacFarlane, one minute.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Jill MacFarlane, and I'm running for Clark County Recorder. My background includes over 22 years of archiving Clark County records. I worked in the Clark County Recorder's office, serving under 3 different recorders for over 13 years. And I've been archiving records for the Clark County Department of Family Services, which deals with all of the child abuse and neglect records for all of the children in Clark County that are affected. I've also personally trained our Clark County Coroner's Office how to scan their very important records and how to retrieve them in the newer system that's been utilized within Clark County over these maybe 8 years or so that different departments are coming on board with them, including Department of Family Services. I know how to record, I know how to retrieve the records, I know how to answer the questions. I had a real estate license for over 16 years here in Clark County, and I also handled a lot of the fraud-related issues within the recorder's office, which runs rampant. Thank you, and again, just like Debbie said, I'd like to thank you all for your service too. I've got many service members within my family, my father, my son, my husband, so I know how it is, and I know what it's like to be a family member of one, and I thank you all.
Thank you very much. John Moore, go ahead and introduce yourself. 1 minute.
My name is John Moore, former Nevada Assemblyman. I was elected in 2014. I'm a 24-year Army veteran. I served in Iraq as well, running for the Clark County Recorder. Finished up my degree in aviation at CSN.
Thank you very much. We're going to be taking questions from our panel, and if you can, limit to a 2-minute response, please. Go ahead.
Michael McDonald, VIPI Legislative Council, Family Civil Liberty Union, Restoring Freedom. So I've got a question in regards to, I believe the Office of Recorder has a lot to do with the birth certificate and death records and stuff like that. I believe it is the birth certificates that are put in place. Am I wrong about birth certificates, or?
We do not,
You don't do a lot?
health district, birth certificates and death certificates. It's a health district.
Okay, that's not one of the
It's
purviews
not one
of.
of our functions, no. We
Okay.
deal with land records and property records.
Okay, so let me ask, one of the questions I was going to ask is regards to paternity fraud and putting on the birth certificates. But since what I would ask a question is, being part of the digital age, what is your recommendations for technological changes that we can we can do, that we can implement in the recorder's office? What kind of access to information would you provide if elected? And what technological advances would you recommend for that office to bring oversight onto all the records here in Clark County?
Our records are put up on the webpage on a daily basis. Back when I was first elected in 2007, the office was behind in everything, about 9 months behind in terms of digitizing records, putting things up on the webpage, the whole 9 yards. So if you were a customer and you walked into the lobby, it would take us it would take the office, not me at the time, at least 9 months to get back your copies of your records and for those records to go up on the webpage. Right now, we're providing same-day service. You walk in, you hand us the document, we scan it in, it goes up on the webpage immediately after we record it. And all the technological enhancements, we have new systems, we have new scanners, we have everything that's recent and current. Our office focuses on technology. Every year we outline several goals in the technology industry as the new advances come out. We make certain that we're on top of everything. Our office leads in recording, in the recording industry. We're the most technologically advanced office in the country. We have people from all over the world that come to our office just to see the technology we have. We created the marriage certificate kiosk that the clerk currently has. Our technicians developed that kiosk. And we also have a kiosk in Laughlin. It's the recording kiosk, and it's the first of its kind in the world. So as far as digital documents go, we have digitized all of our documents. Everything goes up on the webpage the same day.
My plan involves fraud alerts that can come from companies that have this type of a process. I feel that the average resident in Clark County should not find out that their home has a lien on it when they're trying to get ready to sell it. That becomes a legal issue or a mortgage issue where the lender might say, well, you're going to have to satisfy this before we take care of your loan, and then your house gets recorded and so forth, and you now own a home, or now you've sold your home, but you've also maybe been in the hole for $5,000 over a lien you didn't even know existed. So my plan would be to implement a service where the residents can give us either a text message phone number or an email where you can be alerted to anything that's recorded of a negative fashion against you. And like I said earlier that I was involved with all of the fraud, even before I became the fraud investigator within the office, I was advising veterans when they would come in with their DD-214s and I was sitting at the front desk, I would suggest that they think strongly about what they're about to do. It's about to become public record. They would tell me that the bureau where you guys get the DD-214s would advise them to come and record it for safekeeping, and it's a lot easier to get it from your local county recorder's office as a certified copy instead of from the military. So I advised them that they may want to cover their social security numbers. I would give them a little sticker or some whiteout, and they often did so. And in retrospect, it was a great plan because that since had become a statute where all of the social security numbers were supposed to be obscured. Now, the Social Security Act was enacted in 1935, and the first social security numbers were actually utilized in 1936. Frankly, the records should have these numbers obscured all the way back to 1936, but I've since noticed that the statute has lightened up, and now it's a may instead of a shall obscure, but if it were me, I shall obscure.
Part of my plan, if elected, would be to implement more kiosks around the city as well. We have a kiosk in Laughlin, I believe, and I think that that's a great system, but we need better access. The general public needs better access to the recorder's office. Some folks can't get from way down south, let's say, all the way down to the county building. So that sometimes is an issue. So maybe if we can implement a kiosk around the city, DMV has multiple offices within the city, we can certainly put kiosks somewhere within the government buildings around the county.
Mantis Toboggan radio host. What is it that you feel? What is it that you feel makes you uniquely suited to this job?
Well, as I said, as John Moore, former Nevada Assemblyman, as I said, I was elected in 2014, where I served as Vice Chairman of Government Affairs. So I've dealt with state government at all levels, city, county, state. I have an in-depth understanding of what's required in running each of these, at each of these levels. We implemented lots of...
For this particular position?
I bring that same experience and dedication, hard work to the position as well.
I feel that I'm the most qualified because I've been in the office the longest out of everyone up here on the panel. I've also been involved in archiving records for Clark County for my nearly 23-year career. I know how to do it. I know the statutes. I held a real estate license. It is the Land Records Office. I understand the chain of title, the conveyance of property, what the documents are when you have paid off your home, because some people think they're going to just burn their deed in a fireplace, but it's a little bit more to that they've got to record to show that it's satisfied. So I do understand the documents, how they should be indexed, how they should be retrieved, how they should be recorded, what all of the requirements are, such as font size and margin sizes and ink color, and whether a social security number should or should not be on there. Sometimes it may be required, and then those people will have to sign an affirmation statement saying that they are aware that this is on there, or an affirmation statement to say that there isn't one. It depends on the type of document. So there are a lot of ifs, ands, and buts about it. There are minors that come in. I know the title company recorders. I know a lot of the law firms that come in, the runner services. I know most of the staff. I know almost so many people in the Clark County Government Center. I have a great, approachable personality. I will not be in the back of the building when somebody has a problem. I will come out and address it. I will speak to the individual. Oftentimes a recording deputy may not know the answer, or may be cornered, or we even have some scary customers that have come in, and they come in with their sovereign documents, and those are the type of people that I would be flagging for the FBI, as I've done in the past.
To address your question, I've been the county recorder for 12 years. There's two sides to the operations. There's the administrative piece that deals with the budget, the financial components, payroll, different invoices, also purchasing and dealing with contracts, and also dealing with higher-ups, other elected officials, and other, the county management and the county management team. There's the administrative side. Then there's the operational side, which is out on the floor actually recording the customer's documents on a daily basis. At one point when we were switching systems, our office recorded, on the average, we do 3,000 documents a day. At one point, we recorded 11,000 documents in one day to make sure that everything was recorded and taken care of. As I mentioned, we do same-day service. We very rarely, if ever, do overtime. Back when the economy went south, we never laid anybody off. We only eliminated positions that were allocated in the budget that we did not fill. We didn't lay anybody off, and we performed with the same staff, and we cut overtime when Jill was there. They had 3 shifts running, a morning, noon, and night shift. We cut overtime by 99% during the cost containment period. Our focus has been on rolling out technology, as I mentioned before. This gentleman mentioned about kiosks. We opened 2 branches since I've been in office. One out in the northwest part of town to service those citizens, and one in Henderson at the Henderson City Hall to service those citizens in Henderson. The kiosk that's in Laughlin is just the first of several that's planned across the county. We started with Laughlin, now the next goal is to push a kiosk down in Mesquite so we can service the citizens there. And then we have a kiosk scheduled to go into each commission district so that it will be available to the individuals. Our kiosk is so unique that you touch the screen, a recorder in our office face comes up on the screen, and it's like you're right in front of the recorder. They're telling you put your document in, when payment is due, and so forth. So that's the first kiosk of its kind in the world, and that's what makes us the leader in the industry. We have 4 managers on the floor.
Time,
Frontline.
sorry, time.
Okay.
We got any more questions? What we're gonna do is the next question, due to time, we'll have a minute response. So we can at least try to get 2 more questions in, and a minute from each of the candidates, then we're gonna go with closing. Go ahead, please.
Steve Sanson, U.S. Army. My question is simple. Just if you're elected or if re-elected, what do you think the biggest issue is with the office, and what are some steps that you would take to rectify it?
Right now, the issue is that we stay on top of technology. You have your WNBA team coming in here, you have the Raiders coming in here, you have all types of sports teams coming in, and because of that, recordings are increasing on a daily basis. We have to make certain that we're constantly turning around the documents and that we're servicing the customers, because it trickles down. It's not just the title companies that's engaged in recording. You also have the realtors. They don't get paid until we record documents. And so our biggest challenge is to continue to stay on top of the technology, that we're constantly turning things around in a one-day period, and that all the industry is satisfied in terms of what we do. We're focusing on customer service, and as I mentioned, we have 4 managers on the floor every day, including my assistant recorder. If there's problems, if there's questions, those managers do the operational end, and they satisfy the customer. There is no customer that's denied the opportunity to talk to me if they want to talk to me. And I'm constantly on the floor, I'm out in the community. We teach records research classes. We teach customers how to avoid the fraud issue. We go out in the community and we do classes at the different locations, at the libraries. We go to their place of residence, and we have a place in our office where we actually teach the class.
My idea about the security in the office is we've got to be concerned about security in this 21st century digital age. It's very nice to have everything quickly done and turned around, but there are people out there out of state who can capture your signature, or they know exactly what you're doing based on the documents that are recorded. So it becomes a different situation where if an average person has to come down to the recorder's office to obtain a certified copy, well, that's all well and good, but why does somebody in Wisconsin need to see my document for my house and so forth? So I have some great concerns about that, and I always have. But besides that, I feel that if we had some fraud alerts coming out, that would assist people. I'm under the understanding that there is no assistant recorder at the moment. He recently retired suddenly. I don't recall you being on the floor much, and as far as going out in the community, sure. But there are also a lot of people that need some outreach groups right within the department. I feel that there should be a senior outreach group, a veterans outreach group, maybe even a youth outreach group, because they just don't know yet what the recorder's office is for, how important it is, what they should be guarding, that they should be checking their records every now and then. People just don't understand. Now the average realtor does, somebody who's in business.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but we're...
Okay, well, thank you very much.
I see one of the biggest challenges right now is in security as well. I think that in this day and age we need to have a little more robust security on the back end within that office. Our documents are available. I am a very transparent person. I do think that once it's recorded, it is public knowledge and should be available to the public. So we need to kind of wrestle with the two and find a happy medium there, but also making them secure. As well as I would echo Jill's concern with fraud alerts. I think that if there's a lien placed on your property or anything going on with your property, we should have some type of notification immediately or within a 24-hour period so that the person, the property owner knows what's going on behind the scenes with their property. Kind of like, and I'm not hawking for them, but like Life Alert, you know, one of those credit monitoring systems. We need to implement something like that within the recorder's office.
Robert Foust, U.S. Army VIP member. So what would you do to cut 10% of the budget for your office this year?
And limit your response to 1 minute, please.
I would stop with all of the enhancements within the office, and I would focus on things for the system itself. Not a conference room, not anything that involves trips and so forth. Everything should be happening within our community, our county, and for our residents. So my issue would be to stop the fancy footwork.
Actually, in response to your question and her comment, we have several different budgets that we manage in the recorder's office. Some budgets are allocated towards enhancements within the office, and the primary budget that is allocated towards technological enhancements, that's a totally separate budget from anything else. And so every year, we look at things that we can do to cut costs. For example, it's the office in Henderson, it's a $1 a year lease. So we don't actually pay for that office. It's a MOU between governments. It's an understanding that if we place an office there, that it will be it's a government office, and it's treated as if it's a component of the city of Henderson because the citizens there access that office. Every year, the finance department, their team, the budget office sits down and I meet with them, and I talk to the analysts that are there. I talk to the CFO, I talk to the controller. They're the ones that allocate the budgets. Our budget, if anything, it was reduced. We had a $5 million budget, and this year we get $3.9 million. So we've already cut the cost more than 10%. And we're again, operating with the same number of people on staff that we have for the past few years.
Thank you very much. We need to move on to John Moore.
I would agree that one way to cut anywhere in any office, obviously, is with the unnecessary allocations. You know, trips, anything that's not necessary to actually servicing the customer, the residents of Clark County. I don't believe is necessary. Everything should be geared towards customer service and technology. So anything other than that is should be looked at very hard.
Thank you very much. Our sponsors, Ron Q for Clark County Treasurer, Michael Broadway Real Estate, Real Water, Lakeside Business Suites. We're going to give you all 1 minute to do a closing for us.
John Moore. One of the things that I think that, as I stated earlier, that I would bring to the office is my knowledge of state government as well, having served in the legislature. I have a thorough understanding of budgets, how they're allocated from the state level down, where the money's going, how it gets there, as well as all the intricacies of state and county government. And during my time in the legislature, I played a key role in bringing thousands of jobs here to Southern Nevada, so I bring that same dedication and hard work to the county recorder's office.
This is Jill MacFarlane with her closing arguments here. I wanted to say that with regards to the fraud situation that I'm very interested in, and I'm sorry to keep harping on that, but at one time we were #2 in the nation for identity theft, so that's a quite concerning thing. We don't want to get back there. I fear that there are some very strange documents that come in, and if the proper authorities are not notified, if it is not understood what's being brought in, then it can't, as a recorder, we cannot help law enforcement. Such as with the October 1 shooter, I would run that guy's name, I would run his girlfriend's name, I would run his brother's names and see what's going on. He had a house in Mesquite, he may have been a sovereign individual. There are other aspects that come through that recorder's office, and I did create a full fraud web page with beautiful hyperlinks. It was at least 2 pages long and it never made the sight of day. So I just wanted to say that I'm in it to help everyone. I don't even know what the salary is. So I'm in it because I have a good heart, I mean it, I want to help with law enforcement, and I want to get back in there and do the job. I can live with that.
My closing comments would be this. Of course, I can't tell you everything about the office today in the amount of time that we're limited to. But the Nevada Taxpayers Association thought enough of our office that twice we were in the top 4 finalists for an award as the one that cut the most costs in government, a government agency. We were the only department in Clark County that was recognized for cutting costs. And we, twice we were in the top 4 as a finalist for the Nevada Taxpayers Association Good Government Award. We have won awards all over the country for cutting costs, for introducing technology, and so forth. As far as fraud goes, we're the ones that created the Fight Fraud Task Force. We are in alignment with the FBI, with the Metro Police Department, with all of the different agencies. We're in touch with them every day, including our DA's office. If we're suspect of a fraudulent document, we're constantly sending those documents for those individuals to peruse. As far as redaction, the state law requires that we redact your personal information from every single one of your documents that come through our office. We have redaction software, and we have people in our office that double check, do quality checks on those documents before they're put out there. The document itself is not online, so you don't have to worry about your signature. It is not online.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank Clark County Recorder candidates. I'd like to thank our panel. This is Mitchell T. Tracy, your moderator for today. Also, a candidate for Clark County Commission District F. Thank you.